Welcome back. This is the third video on our ground attack aircraft, and this time we're now going to talk about how to allocate hits to people under, not people, but teams underneath the template, and then how do they make their saves. And if they make their saves, what happens, and if they fail their saves, what happens. So that's going to be this last video. So for some weird purpose here, I just made this up because I kind of want to show you how you have to allocate the hits. And it's just going to be easier if I say like everything underneath here is under the template. And there is a team up here and a team down there. And I've got this platoon of infantry, and we're going to make this one whole platoon over here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 infantry underneath there, and we're going to go with the bombs, so we need 4s. So I'm going to roll these, and we got 2 hits. We're not going to do any rerolls. We got 2 flights. Then I've got 1, 2. These are all tanks, considered tanks, even though there's some unarmored and fully armored. They're considered tanks. So 1, 2, and it's one platoon, so I don't have to roll them separate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let me get 7 dice here. Well, that's like the priority aircraft. So here's 7 dice, needing the 4s, and we get 3 hits. Oh, well, wait, I'm wrong. 4. We get 4 hits, so 3 missed. So we're going to have to allocate these out. So let's go through the allocation. I'll kind of list it first, and then we'll just do one platoon at a time. So when you're allocating, each team may be allocated only 1 hit. So I can't put, just like usual, and a lot of this is going to be like the artillery. This is basically like artillery. I can't put both on that one. I'm going to have to spread these out. But there's going to be rules I'm going to have to follow as to who I can spread these hits out to. So 2 of these, because remember there's 2 guys in here. So 2 of these are going to be hit, and 2 of them are going to be safe. So each team may only be allocated 1 hit. So out of this 4, that means 4 are going to be hit, but 3 will not be hit out of this group. Okay, unprotected teams must be allocated hits before teams in bulletproof cover. Oh, okay, so keep that in mind. Unarmored vehicles must be allocated hits before armored vehicles. So when we get the vehicles, we're going to have to take care of that. Hits must be allocated to operational vehicles and other teams, including on-the-ground teams, before bogged down or bailed out. Ooh, we do have bogged down and bailed out over here, so that's going to make us start thinking about how we're going to have to allocate those out. Hits must be allocated to armored vehicles with lower armor rating before those with a higher armor rating. And again, if it's the bomb or rockets, we're going to use top armor. If it's cannons, machine guns, look at the side armor. It just isn't looking always at the front or whatever. What is that weapon going to hit? Is it going to hit the side or is it going to hit the top? That's what you're going to compare. And finally, hits must be allocated to other teams before teams that are gone to ground. Ooh, I see a gone to ground over here. All right, so let's do this one time. Let's go with the infantry team. Now, this is the only infantry team that's dug in and gone to ground. These guys are in the building, so they're in bulletproof cover. These guys are just out in the open. So let's go through the list. Each team may be allocated 1 hit. Well, we know 2 people, or two teams are going to be allocated hits here. Unprotected teams must be allocated hits before teams in bulletproof cover. Well, all 3 of those are in bulletproof cover. They are not. Boom. They get the first hit. Now, where is the second hit going to go? Well, let's go down the list. Unarmored vehicles. Well, next is talking about vehicles. Well, they're not vehicles, so we can skip that. Hits must be allocated to operational vehicles before those, including gone to ground. Okay, so don't worry about that. That's vehicles again. Hits must be allocated to armor vehicles with lower. That's another vehicle one. Finally, hits must be allocated to other teams before teams that are gone to ground. So one of these two is going to be hit. It's choice. Just for simplicity's sake, we're going to put it on the top team, just so you can see it. So we're done allocating. Let's go over here. Starting, we know one each. That's how it starts off. Unprotected teams before teams that are in bulletproof cover. Well, none of these are in bulletproof cover. Hits must be allocated operational vehicles and other teams, including gone to ground teams, before bogged down or bailed out. So these are going to be allocated last. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 left. So one of these is going to be safe. So let's keep going. Hits must be allocated to armor vehicle with a lower armor rating before those with a higher armor rating. Well, we're going off top. So this is unarmored. Oh. You know what? That has no armor. That has no armor. This has a top of 0. Both these are 1, so it's going to be a choice. So we'll just go there. We're allocated out. And then none are gone to ground. So that's how you allocate it out. So let's go one more time. And this time I'm going to take... No, I'm going to leave that in there because it's a good thing to explain what's going on here. So again, we have 4 men over here. So the bomb needs 4s. Oh, we only hit once. I think I know where that one's going to go, because I remember the allocation rules. I think I know where that one hit's going to go. But we had, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, there's my 7 dice. And, oh my, let's see. Oh, I did get an extra hit this time. I got 5 hits. All right, so I got 5 hits on that one. So we're going to see what's going to happen here. All right, so start with the infantry again. Of course, we know 1. Wait, where'd that 1 die go? Okay, so we know... I'm like a magician. I didn't even see I did that. Okay, so here we go. So this is going to allocate it out. And I'm pretty sure you know where it's going to go, but we're just going to go through the list just to help us remember. So we know each team's going to get 1. Unprotected teams before those in bulletproof cover. Well, they're dug in, bulletproof. They're in a building, bulletproof. Out in the open, not bulletproof. Boom. We're done. All right, let's go to the vehicles. We got 5 to allocate. I'm pretty sure those are going to be last. Okay, so we know 1 per. Unprotected teams before those in bulletproof cover. Well, they're not in bulletproof. They're vehicles. Don't worry about that. Unarmored vehicles must be allocated hits before armored. So we know those 2 are going to be hit. Then hits must be allocated operational before, including those gone to ground, before bogged down or bailed out. So we know that these 3 are going to be allocated. We got 3 dice. If we had 2, we'd have to really think about it. But we know it goes to low armor before higher armor. So that's going to be our allocation. So that's how you allocate the hits out. And if you're not sure, go to page 186, and they got the list. Now, you could have men riding on these tanks. Remember, they can jump on the tanks and ride around. If that's the case, don't roll for the men on the tank. Roll to hit the tank. If you hit the tank, you've hit the men. And then they're going to have to make their saves as usual. So keep that in mind if you do have people riding on tanks. And I already said it that there was 2 in here, but let me say that all these guys got in here. And then the template fell on top of them like this. How many of these guys would be hit? Well, how many are under the template? Well, they are under the template. They're under the template, so that's going to be 4 dice coming down. So it doesn't matter how many floors. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. It doesn't matter how many floors it is. Well, 3, 4. I wouldn't go too crazy. But if they're under the template, they have possibility of being hit. All right, so just like if the artillery hits once, so these guys got hit once, just like if the artillery gets hit once, they become pinned. Well, the same thing happens here, that if these guys get hit, remember, vehicles don't get pinned, so this is more infantry and gun team. If they get hit, not killed, they get hit, they are pinned. So just remember that. The aircraft is going to be just like the artillery. Takes just one hit to pin down a unit. Alright, hopefully this next part's not going to be too difficult. Has to do with saves, and we've pretty well talked about saves like in the shooting, with the artillery, and so really there's not going to be much difference here. Let's start with armored vehicles. So as far as armored vehicles go, are we hitting top armor or are we hitting side armor? So let's look at just a vanilla Sherman, just to kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. So here's our Sherman here, vanilla. Top, that's front. Top armor, or side's 4. Let me zoom in and maybe it'll be a little easier. See, there we go. Okay, so side is 4, top is 1. So remember that bomb rocket. That's going against the 1. Cannon machine guns are going against the 4. Okay. So basically you look at the anti-tank of the aircraft. So let's go to the arsenal here, and here's the aircraft. And anti-tank machine gun, remember that's side, so it's going to be 6 against the side. The bomb is against top, and that's a 5. So the Sherman had a 4 against this. So 1 or 2, 3 or higher, okay. It only had a 1, so 4 or less, it's in trouble. And then, of course, we've already talked about the firepower. So if it makes it, it's okay. If it ties the anti-tank, then the opponent's going to do a firepower. If it fails the anti-tank, make your firepower. Now again, it's the same thing. If you tie and don't succeed with your firepower, nothing happens. If you succeed, they're bailed out. If they failed their save, do your firepower. If you make it, they're destroyed. If you don't make it, it's bailed out. It's same as just shooting a tank. So this part is exactly as if you were shooting the tank and trying to destroy it like a regular shot. Except for, is it going against side armor? Because it doesn't hit front. Is it going against side armor or is it going against top armor? So all that is the same as far as armored vehicles go. So again, my helper is bomber. To remember bomb rocket, so I don't have to keep looking it up in the book. Now, unarmored vehicles, such as the Jeeps, they have the same save as usual. It's a 5+. If they're recon, you can't even see them. I forgot I zoomed in. Zoom back out. There we go. Now you can see everything. So the unarmored vehicles here normally have a 5+ save, like gun teams. They have a 5+ save. If they're recon, though, they have a 3+. So you don't go against side or top armor. They're just like men, as far as they go. They don't have an armor rating, so you might as well machine gun them. In my case, it'd be better just to machine gun them. Now, there is warriors also have a 3+ save in independent teams. So if they normally would have a 5+ save, like these guys, any recon, independent team, or warrior team, it gets moved to a 3+ save. That's kind of nice. Infantry saves, 3+. If they're in bulletproof cover, firepower is needed to destroy them. So it's just like when you regularly shoot. But that linear terrain, now the buildings, they're in the building, so it doesn't count. But let's say these infantry teams are there. Let's get rid of this. Well, normally if you're shooting at them this way, they're going to get that bulletproof cover. But just like the artillery ignores the linear terrain, except for that building, because remember we talked about this being linear terrain, but they're in the building. So this linear terrain could be bushes too. Whatever gives them bulletproof cover linear terrain wise, when it comes with from an airplane, you don't get it. So no firepower test needed in that situation. In the building, yes. Your guns. So your gun teams, remember that could be your machine gun teams, this Pack 40, stuff like that. It's that 5+ save. But remember, if they are dug in, or yeah, I about said something different. If they're gone to ground, remember, if they're gone to ground, they have that 3+ save. So all these saves are pretty much the same as if you're just regularly shooting at them, except for that linear part. So they normally have a 5+ save, like the unarmored, but if they're gone to ground, they have a 3+ save. And if anything's in bulletproof cover, except for the linear part, you have to do a firepower test, just like you would have to against the tank. And that's only if they fail their save. All right, I'm going to shut this off to get set up for the next thing. What we have here is an armored transport. So remember, there is a difference between armored and unarmored transport. So this armored transport has these 3 men in it. They're being these stands, or these teams, and they're in there. They're being transported around. The aircraft comes in, hits it. It makes a save like any other tank, using top armor or side armor, depending upon what weapon the aircraft is doing. Remember, it can only choose one weapon, and it gets bailed out. Well, what's going to happen here is they automatically remount the bailed out vehicle, so they don't jump out. They're just basically, they're going to remount the vehicle. Now, instead of bailing it out, the airplane actually destroyed it. So the men are going to have to jump out because they no longer have the vehicle. And that's where it's a 5+ save. So it's like the usual, you destroy a transport, the men in it have to make a 5+ save. And the same thing's here. And they dismount under fire, which means can't go closer to an enemy. They're going to move about 4 inches, and they become, they are pinned. So it's kind of like the artillery. It pins you all the time. Because remember, the artillery, when it hits you, it's pin, pin, pin. It seems like the aircraft's doing the same thing. So next, we're going to talk about, get that out of here, unarmored transports. What's going to happen there, which aren't as great transports as far as protecting people from what I've seen in the rules so far. All right, so now we have unarmored transports, and what happens here? Well, if the unarmored transport gets hit, everybody, and let's say this transport, this one didn't get hit, but this one did, and this one's carrying these 3 stands, all of them, this wasn't destroyed, it was just hit, but every one of these is going to have to make the 5+ save to stay alive. This is why that unarmored transports aren't as great as the armored, because it gets hit and not destroyed or not bailed out or anything like that. Men don't have to make save. This one just gets hit. It's like riding on a tank. Remember, the tank gets hit, they all get hit. This unarmored vehicle gets hit, unarmored transport gets hit, they all get hit. They have to make their 5+ save. Now, if they don't make their 5+ save, they're destroyed. So let's take a look here. We got 3 guys, and none of them made it, so they're all dead. That means that this is taken off too. If it has no men to carry, it's not going to be on the table. So, I think I could try it again. Let's see if I can save 1. Oh, wow, 2 this time. So 2 of them saved. So these men, so this is the one that got destroyed. These 2 survived. They're still in the transport because transport didn't die. It has to make it save too. So remember, it's a 5+ save. It made it save. So the men, they made their save. So they're still in there. However, remember, unlike armored vehicles, unarmored vehicles can be pinned, and they become pinned down. So this whole platoon now is pinned down. Now, there was a rule that if one of these unarmored transports is shot or wherever, or destroyed or wherever, the other one run off, not with an airplane. So you only remove the ones that have been destroyed or all their passengers are gone or destroyed, and then this is sent to the rear. The others stay on the table. But they do become pinned because unarmored, just like infantry, just like gun teams, unarmored vehicles can become pinned. And one thing I will say about, here it is, about men riding on tanks. Just remember, if the tank gets hit, these have to make their save, and if they survive, or if they fail, there's no firepower test. This, if it fails, there's still a firepower test. But if the men riding on the tank don't make it, so let me bring my 3 men back. So here's my 3 men. They're going to have to make a 5+ save. None make it. So they're all dead. No firepower test needed. But if the tank fails, there will be a firepower test needed. So this is just like riding on an unarmored transport. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about, I'm going to move this out of the way, is, where's my aircraft? There's the aircraft. There's the guy that's been doing all the dastardly stuff to all these tanks and everything. Oh my gosh, they were American tanks and men and friendly fire. Okay, so the last thing is when after it's made its attack, just take it off the table and set it aside. And on your next turn, you can try to roll, how many ever dice you have left in your pool to try to bring it back. Let's see if I did good last time. All right, there it is. I would get it back, but now I'm down to 2 dice. So remember, you always remove that 1 die, but you never go below 1. So the last thing I want to show you is, this is on page 188 of the rule book. Let's see if I can get it in here to show you. Kind of. So let me try this. Try to zoom in a little bit. So this is kind of showing some of the different weapons that, there we go. So the British has a Typhoon cannon. Can you guess if that's side or top? What about the rockets? I can already tell because I'm doing bomber top. If it's not a bomb rocket, I know it's side. So cannon side, this is top. You can see they both take 3. 8 side or 6 top. Sometimes it might be good to take the side. What if they only have 3 on the side? But they have, I don't know. 6 on top's pretty good. And, look at the firepower difference. A 5 versus a 3. A 3 is sounding a lot better. Let's go to German. Here's a Stuka. Bomb. Is that top or side? Bomber. Top. 4+ to hit. 5 anti-tank. 1+. That means if they fail, they're dead. Okay, Soviets. I can't speak Russian. I'm going to say Sturmovik. Okay, cannon. Side or top? Bomb. Side or top? Rockets. Side or top? Well, that's side. These 2 are top. 3, 4, 3. That's pretty good. Ooh, 9. 9 on the side's not bad. 5. 6 on the top's not bad either. But let's look at firepower. 5+. A 1 or a 3. Ah, boy. And there's that flying tank I was talking about. So this plane's a little harder to destroy with the anti-aircraft fire because that flying tank. And the last one. P-47, we've already looked at this. Machine gun, side or top? Bombs, side or top? That's side, that's top. 2, mostly against infantry you'll want to use this, unless they're really dug in, you think, I need that firepower. Or 4s, 6 on the side, 5 on the top. I know which one I would take if I was shooting a tank. 5+ firepower, yeah, I know which one I would take, or a 1+. So, there's some examples of ground attack aircraft and then their stats. So that is that. My next video is going to be over. Where's Mr. Gray? There he is. There's Mr. Gray. The AOP and how to use your air observation post. So, until next time, have a good game.